pains me to say, but I've been diagnosed with DPL. Well, self-diagnosed. But that's most things on the internet, right? Like someone will be reading a magazine in the waiting room of a haircut place and they can't get through a paragraph and they're like, well, I have ADHD. I'm like, that's not what that is. You just lost interest in the story because it was about, oh, where are these celebrities now? And you don't care. All those celebrities were famous when you weren't even alive. So that's not really a big deal to you. But I am self-diagnosing myself. I know that a lot of people do it. I think some people probably over-diagnose things, under-diagnose things, but I think I am shooting straight in the middle, and I'm properly diagnosing myself with DPL. That's right, dry bottom lip. You see, before I start these episodes, I always check on my face, make sure nothing obvious is poking out that looks odd. And I know, obviously, someone's going to say, well, you missed a spot, the whole thing. Guards, get them out of here. All right, yeah, second row, third seat. Wow, couldn't afford the first row. All right, not to pocket watch, right? But maybe do a little better, all right? Maybe if you weren't so outspoken here and were outspoken at work, you get that promotion. And then maybe you'd afford the place with more leg room, okay? That's right, get them out of here, guards. But I have dry bottom lip because it's not a thing, right? It's not like a thing that a lot... Do people have that? Maybe... Also, I'm now realizing maybe DPL is like a real thing. Like, what if it's an actual disease? And when I first said that for the first 20 seconds, someone was like, oh my God, Gauruv, no. No, we thought we had so much time with you. I'm like, well, no, I just, sorry. My bottom lip, I feel like it looks gross most of the time. Not most of the time. It just feels like it gets dry when it shouldn't. Like it has no business get dry. You know, I track the amount of water I drink, right? That's something I try to do in the little like daily journals I have. How many cups of water? My goal is try to get 8 cups a day. And yesterday I drank 13 cups of water. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Dry lips? You're swimming in it. I'm treating you to a good time. Right? You're embarrassing me. You know? It's my lips looked at me in the mirror and they're like, may I have a sip, sir? Please, I'm parched. I'm like, no, hey, I gave you a sip, more than a sip. Maybe your body's just not used to it, right? Your body being my body in this case. But I was like, no, I treated you well. All right, don't do this, right? You know what's bad about dry lips? It's like when you go out in public, your lips tell on you. Because people look at them and they're like, ooh, not treating you well at home, are you? But no, I am. I treat my lips very fine. And it's crazy that my lips are telling on me because it's like a self-report. But it's not even like me using my voice. It's me using my mouth. Mostly when people say, oh, they use their mouth to self-report, you would think that their words being spoken. There's not. It's just appearance. People look at the disheveled bottom level of, the mouth region. They're like, oh, no, that's too bad. Seems like they don't have a great relationship. Hey, we have a great relationship, okay? It's very moist. It's very wet. You say that about any other relationship, you would be like, wow, things are going well. I could see them lasting at least 3 more years before they start actually talking to each other and realize, oh, we don't have the same goals. We just find each other hot and we're trying to fuck. But no, I have a great relationship. We have open conversations about goals and futures and stuff like that. Yet I go out there in public and my bottom lip is embarrassing me. All because I have DPL. Huh? What a damn shame that is. But no, a life hack I learned many years ago. Also, I just realized I've been saying DPL. Dry bottom lip would be DBL. See, this is a problem when you self-diagnose, you don't actually get anything right. So let's just keep calling it DPL. How about that? But no, I have DBL. And a life hack I learned many years ago, which I don't know where I picked this up from, but if you have a automated toothbrush, just take that on the lowest setting and just kind of rub it against your bottom lip. It'll all, in a safe way, it won't be like bad. It won't peel off your entire lip, right? Like a wax strip. It'll do it in a safe way and just get rid of any of that skin. So if you got, you're trying to take some nice selfies in the car, right? That evening, what is it? That summer, what is it called? Oh my God. That orange like sun glow. It has a name. But if you get that sunlight glow on your face and, they're like, oh, these would make some great selfies, but I have this disgusting lip. Well, they just whip out that automated toothbrush that you carry around with yourself, right? And then it'll fix you right up. The State of the Union was this week when Trump goes up and he's like, yo, this is what's kind of how things are going in the country. And he just went up there and lied, from what I understand, for just under 2 hours. But one of the things, there's only one thing I want to talk about, is he talked about gas prices. And he was like, yo, I saw gas as low as $1.85 in Iowa. I was like, what the fuck? I don't know. I'm in California, so maybe that's a problem. But I don't think they're getting that low. A couple weeks ago, it went down. It's been like $5 for the past few years. But then it went down to $4.40. I was like, wow, look at that. Things are looking good. And then I went last week, $5.07. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And so the day after I saw the State of the Union, it said 185. I said, what the fuck? That's crazy. So yeah, unfortunately that's bad. But some things are good, right? With every give, there's a take. For every yin, there's a yang. With every ebb, there's a flow. And so you may have to pay $5 for gas, but the worst guy you know is saying slurs again. That makes it seem like he took a break. He didn't take a break. He has been always saying them, but now he says them with very little pushback. Now he just says them, and then people are like, yeah, I guess, man. I don't know. I got other shit to worry about. If you're going to say that, I guess. You've been saying that. But I have extracurriculars I got to attend to, and I don't have time for this. Okay? Even I've been saying I've been playing video games a lot more recently, and I found that now when I play video games, I always go for the competitive, like, ranked modes. I remember in high school, middle school, whenever I played online, I would never play the ranked competitive modes because I'm like, oh, I don't want to try that hard, I don't want to whatever. But now as an adult, if I'm not playing those modes, I'm like, what is the point of playing? Because I've been so conditioned, like, if you're doing something, you have to be making progress. And so now if I play a video game that doesn't have like a leaderboard or a ranked mode, I'm like, well, I'm just wasting time. I'm not working towards anything. But when I play a ranked game, which is by far more frustrating and less enjoyable, maybe not even enjoyable, it still feels nice that I'm working towards something. I'm trying to level up that rank that no one will ever see or care about. But for me, I know. I'm like, well, look, I've made progress. Look at that. And so I've been playing these ranked modes, and that's where I think the highest slur usage gets used because you're fighting for something, right? Tensions are really flaring up because there's something at stake. There's a digital number that is ultimately your value in this world. And so people tend to let the slurs kind of fling a little easier, right? They're a little more perfunctory, but they hit just as potently, may I say. And I was playing a game this week, and you don't really have to understand the game, but maybe let me try to explain a little context so you understand. In this game, you kind of pick. There's 5 roles in every game, right? This game, it's a 5v5. Well, you enter like, oh, what roles would you like? And then the game throws you into a game, and it give you your role, like maybe, right? It kind of disperses them, but maybe it'll give someone else your role. So you might not get the one you wanted, right? Like your first option, maybe you'll get the second option. It's kind of like when you're applying for classes in college. It's like you have a list of like what classes you want to take, but if they get filled up, oh, maybe you take the second option. That's what happens in this game. Maybe your first priority role gets filled up, now you got the second priority role. So this one guy wanted a role called jungle. He didn't get jungle, he got solo. Well, in the game, our jungler was feeding their brains out. I think they went 0-10 at one point. And then this guy got on the mic, we're like 24 minutes in this game, and he lets 3 slurs off. Like bang, bang, bang. 3, one after the other. It was crazy. And there were 2 I don't even think I've heard of them before. I had to look them up. I had to do research just to feel offended. Isn't that crazy? But he let one out that I hadn't heard since like middle school. I was like, oh my God. I even typed in chat. I'm not on the voice comms because I don't want anyone yelling at me, right? They're yelling at someone else on my team. I'm like, hey man, come on. And then he's like, hey man, you know what? Fuck you too. I'm like, well, why did I try? I should have just stayed quiet. But I'll get in the chat sometimes, right? I'll type in there. And so even when he let those 3 slurs fly, bang, 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 I got in chat and I said, oh my. Because even I was a little taken aback. I had to let it out. I don't live with anyone. So I had to let someone know, I don't know how I feel about this. I just want someone to know, oh, I got hit over here. Because wow, that was kind of crazy. But I just feel like a couple years ago, I don't think he would have been saying those words. He would have said other words. But the words he chose, they're very, what is it? It's a sign of our times. I feel like they're very current, right? You look at culture, you look at media, you look at the things that are happening, a snapshot of society, and you can kind of tell what year it was. The slurs he was throwing down, I was like, those are some 2026 flavors, if you ask me. So yeah, that's what I think about when I go to a gas station. I'm like, $5.07. All right. Well, shit. At least I get to go home and play video games and get yelled at by a guy with words that I don't even think I've heard in person. There are a lot of words I feel like you hear online and you're like, yeah, that feels normal. But then when you hear them face to face, you're like, oh, fuck. Oh my God. I feel like a screen, it really numbs things, right? And that's why people get online, they type the most heinous shit. And they have like a public profile. Like you can click on people's profiles and you can see them, like they have a picture of them and their family. And I'm like, oh, wait, so you're not even like shy about the source of this, and then you call them out on, something that you see on their profile, and they're like, hey, come on, that was a little too far. I'm like, that's too far. Okay, that's fine. But you know who I think went a little too far this week? Actually, far too far. Was Dairy Queen. All right, Dairy Queen, I got a fucking bone to pick with you. You see, I'm having these regular physical therapy meetings. Well, now we're kind of stopping physical therapy because apparently it's gotten so bad to where, like, my physical therapist, I'm talking about my ankle here, my peroneal tendonitis, my ankle has now gotten so bad, my ankle foot, that he's like, all right, there's really nothing else I can do for you. We need you to go back to the original doctor, and he needs to scheme up a new plan because whatever is happening now, it's not working. We've done everything I could do for you. It's gotten bad this week. Usually when I left work, it takes maybe a minute, 2 minutes to walk to my car. It took me 12 minutes this week. I can't walk normally. I'm fucked up. Anyways, one thing I like to do when I go to these physical therapy appointments is I always let myself get Dairy Queen afterwards. I always get a small blizzard, a chili cheese dog, and a cheeseburger. And then I get a barbecue on the side, a little sauce of barbecue. And they're like, what's the barbecue for? You didn't get nuggets. I'm like, yeah, I want to dip the cheeseburger in it maybe like 3 times. They're like, all right, well, that's going to cost you extra. I'm like, that's fine. I get that. Charge me extra. But that's what I always do. I go get it, eat it in a parking lot. And I always play a video on my phone. I put it in that little hole in my steering wheel. It fits perfectly there. Prop it up. And so I went. I had a meeting, or not meeting, an appointment this week. And it was at 7:40 a.m. Usually I try to get these appointments for 2 p.m., but there's been a lot of strikes at the hospital. So they had to postpone my appointment 3 weeks, and I wanted to meet them as soon as possible. So the soonest I could do was a 7 a.m. appointment, but I said, fuck that. I'm not doing 7 a.m. So I was like, what's the next thing you have? They're like, well, the day after that, we could do 7:40. I was like, yeah, that's fine. That's okay. Let's do 7:40 that day. So I went 7:40 a.m. And I mentally told myself, my mom even asked me because she knows I go to Dairy Queen. She was like, are you going to get Dairy Queen after the appointment, even though it's at 7:40 a.m.? I was like, funny you ask, because that's all I've been thinking about today. I think I'm going to do it. She's like, all right, well, have fun. I'm like, and then she wasn't even giving any pushback, but I still felt a need to defend myself. I'm like, if you think about it, a burger is basically breakfast. No. If you think about what are the ingredients of a burger, huh? There's some meat, there's some bread. Oh, well, look, we're just talking about breakfast now. What, now there's salad, lettuce, some greens? It's even better than breakfast if you think about it. Hash browns are sometimes eaten with breakfast. Sometimes you dip those in ketchup. Burgers have ketchup. What's the big deal here? But she actually agreed with me. She was like, well, yeah, those breakfast sandwiches, those are basically burgers. I was like, yeah, you're right. They're basically cheeseburgers inside of an English muffin or a croissant or a bagel. So really, I'm not too off the mark, right? I'm not too in left field for trying to get Dairy Queen at 8 a.m. And so I went to Dairy Queen at 8 a.m. I pulled up to the drive-thru. I waited there for about 20 seconds. I was like, oh, no one's here. So I was like, all right, this can't be the case, but maybe they're closed, right? Maybe they'll open at 9 a.m. and I'm willing to stake it out, sit here for an hour, maybe wait them out. Probably not. But I was like, let's see, when do they open? I whipped out my phone, went to my map, went right to the location where I'm at. And I found out the Dairy Queen opens at 10:30 a.m. Hey, do you guys not think that we would want Dairy Queen before 10:30 a.m.? You're Dairy Queen. Your clientele would eat Dairy Queen before 10:30 a.m. What are you doing? Huh? That's like Jack in the Box coming out with the Munchies meal. Yeah, of course. You guys are stupid not to have that. It feels like Dairy Queen is operating in a pre-Munchies meal world. You guys have to understand who you're targeting, right? Like everyone that listens to this podcast are intellectual giants. And that's why I speak the way I do, because I want to be at your level, right? If I wanted, if this was broadcasted to a bunch of dumbasses, I would talk about dumb stuff. But I talk about such intelligent things on here because I understand who this is for. I study the market. I have a pulse on society, huh? I would never tell you that gas is $1.85, but Dairy Queen doesn't seem to be privy to what's going on at their establishment. That place, there's a reason. Dairy Queen, you have to ask to use a key to get into your bathroom. That's not an accident. That was a reactive measure. That's fucking retroactive, huh? You had a easily accessible bathroom, but then people started doing weird shit in there. So you're like, we got to lock it down, okay? Those are the same people that would scarf down a chili cheese dog in a parking lot at 8 a.m. That's me. You can believe me because I'm the guy in the picture, right? You got SpongeBob looking for the guy on the walkie-talkie, but you look at the wanted poster, it's SpongeBob. I'm SpongeBob, motherfucker. I got holes all over my body and I'm willing to fill them with chili cheese. Do you understand what I'm saying? So yeah. But it did feel embarrassing sitting at a drive-thru. Just mouth-watering, anticipating chili cheese draped over a hot dog. Oh my God. I felt so vulnerable in that moment. And it was funny. There was a guy in one of those like big trucks where it's got a bunch of like, what is it? Like, what do you call it? Like, not gardening equipment, but you know, people that work on yards, they always have those trucks with just a bunch of tools in the back that you would never even see outside of those trucks. Like even people's at-home sheds where they just throw stuff and they forget about it. None of those sheds have the tools that are in these trucks. But there was a guy in one of those like outdoor maintenance trucks, and he like walked by the front of my car. And in my head, I'm like, oh, why is he just walking in front of my car? What if I pulled up, to the drive-thru? But he knows that they're not open yet and that I'm an idiot. So it was embarrassing. And then my body felt so betrayed. My body probably feels like I'm a tease because I've set this precedent for like the day leading up to this experience and then no experience. I blue balled my taste buds. Isn't that crazy? You never blue ball your buds because then they'll get all antsy and, there'll just be a lot of nervous energy they didn't get to displace. And that's what I did to my body. What I did to my taste buds. Well, they said don't call us taste buds anymore. They said we prefer taste colleagues. Okay. We work together. We don't have a good relationship. I said, guys, really? Buds? They said, don't use the B word. Okay. Well, we're using the B word, but it's a different one. Just know we don't see you favorably anymore. I already picked out which video I was going to watch too. I had this appointment on Tuesday. Monday night, there was a new video that popped up on YouTube. I was like, oh, watching that for sure. But I was like, but don't watch it tonight. Save it for tomorrow. Save it for that blizzard. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be awesome. And then it didn't happen. Anyways, Tuesdays, am I right? Whatever. New bit unlocked. Try this one out. I've been really liking this one recently. I let it rip. This wasn't premeditated. It just happened in the moment, as most great things do. But if someone compliments you, respond to them by saying, I've been called worse. I don't know what's been happening recently. In real life, people have been like telling me that they find me funny. Like it feels like they're slipping into it. It feels like they're revealing that they find me funny. The reason it's not as outright as I'm making it seem is because it feels like no one's committed to the idea. Like they put it out like a question. I remember I was talking to this girl like earlier in the week, and I'd never talked to her before. Talking to her for the first time. 3 minutes into talking to her, she said, oh, you're funny. She said it with a question mark. And I was like, what is going on? It's like they're not even fully there themselves. They're like trying to figure it out. You can see them doing the work out in front of me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, do you want to get there fully? They're like, I don't know yet. It's like a secret. It's like they're ashamed of admitting it. And I have to assure them, I'm like, it's okay. I won't tell anyone. If you find me funny, or, we've talked about in the past, if you find me attractive, if that's true, let me know. I won't tell anyone. It'll be our little secret. Okay. But people have been recently slipping into revealing that they find me funny. And this week, yes, when someone called me funny, I was like, well, I've been called worse. And I don't know why when I said that feels like a very millennial one-liner, but it felt like home. Felt nice. So yeah, next time someone's like, wow, you're so creative. And you're like, well, I've been called worse. That will either hit or it'll completely miss the mark. Because it'll be like, no, I thought being creative was a good thing. You're like, no, yeah, it is. Thank you so much for the compliment. But it's just a joke because it's like I would say that after being insulted. They're like, but I didn't insult you. I'm like, no, okay. That's we're on the same page, yet you don't know what page we're on. I think that's the problem, right? We're agreeing with each other. Are we? It feels like we're having a disagreement. Right. Sorry. I don't like what I did to this situation. So let's just move on. Something I want to move on to is I had a friend earlier this week. He showed me his dating profile. And I was like, oh, nice. And then he went to some of the, what do you even call it? Like a feed where it's like the new people, conveyor belt of people that you've never seen in your life. And then you say, oh, do I like him or not? And I saw this girl, she had a picture with a baby crocodile. I was like, Now, I don't know what you would think in this situation, but if I see someone take a picture with a baby animal or any animal that you don't typically see, the first thought in my head is, would I do that? I thought about it. I was like, if someone, right, you're at a state fair or some bullshit where they let animals like this just roam around in the suburbs, right? Because these animals aren't not supposed to be here. Like if you went to San Francisco and then there was a penguin crossing the street, you'd be like, what's he doing here? Huh? Not in a bad way. I'm just like, is he okay? Feels like someone, it's like a parent lost their kid in a supermarket, right? Should I get on a loudspeaker and be like, there's a young gentleman. I mean, he's dressed to the nines. It looks like he's wearing a suit, but I feel like he's missing a parent. And one missing a parent because there's a penguin in San Francisco. That would be a great song name. Maybe a band name, Penguins in San Francisco. Anyways, I claim royalties to that now, so if you take it, guess what? I get to retire. I'm suing you. What are you going to do about it? Play this clip in the courtroom and be like, oh, look, there's no really legal grounds to a statement? That's fine. Okay. Nope. I mean, it's not fine. I rebuke that. Don't know what rebuke means. Took a risk by using that word, but we'll leave it in. But I thought about, would I take a picture with a baby crocodile? You could tell it was like some state fair bullshit because there was a crocodile in a gymnasium, a multi-purpose room, and they're really stretching the definition of multi-purpose room. You see, when we were in school growing up, multi-purpose room is where you would either eat lunch, have assemblies, or that church on Sundays would play basketball. That's what a multi-purpose room was for growing up. But now, as an adult, multi-purpose rooms get into nefarious activities, and one of them involves crocodile photo ops. And I saw this girl with this baby crocodile. You know, she was here, and it was kind of like behind her on this table. And she obviously right? Keep all hands and arms and thoughts inside of the vehicle at all times. So she wasn't, being like, me and my crocodile. But she was close enough. She was close enough that I have seen enough videos of alligators and crocodiles. Don't know which one it was. Sorry if that's problematic. But I know that she's within striking distance, right? They would call that a splash zone. But instead of water, it's teeth, and you miss an appendage. You don't just get wet, you lose your dick. What's up? But I think it wouldn't depend on the crocodile. It would depend on the handler, right? Because with every crocodile, there's a human, right? There's a wide-eyed human with some kind of wacky-ass hat and different, shades of beige and tan. They're actually going to make right? They're going to make a crocodile documentary, right? And they're going to call it 50 Shades of Beige because that's the only color shirt they wear, right? It's kind of it's breathe through, right? Really airy. In the back, you can actually see there's little perforated holes so that when they're, going for the animal and they're working up a sweat, they can really get some good ventilation. And I think it would depend. If I showed up there and this handler was a little wacky, it's not even like a solid rule. Because if they were wacky, but they had a good energy, chaotic good, I'd be like, all right, I think I'll take the picture. But if they were like chaotic evil, I'd be like, well, I don't know about all this. But then if they were like, what is it? Lawful, right? Kind of maybe calm, even killed energy. If they were like a lawful evil, I'd be like 50-50. But if they were lawful good, I'd be like, no, that's fine. Because the crocodile is used to your energy, and I feel like I'm bringing the same energy. With a really big, loud, right, energy of a crocodile handler, I feel like the crocodile seems so much worse that when I'm, up in the crocodile's business to be like, oh, well, this guy's calm, he's whatever. Because the handler, he's been all, in the crocodile's face and stuff. But if there was an even killed handler and I walked up there, the crocodile would be like, I could take this guy. I'd be like, what? Sorry, I didn't, I just want the picture for the gram, I'll tag you. What's your at? You probably have one, right? Because you're an animal. And animals don't get to exist anymore. We get to give them a handle. And then just what is it? Just wave around their dead body after they die. And then release, what is it? Fucking anniversary merch. This is the 25th anniversary of, this, right? Like what is it? Fucking Soma no, MoMA, Jesus Christ. MoMA in San Francisco. I think Claude just died. The albino, is it alligator? Ooh, this is problematic if I don't know. I'm gonna lock in alligator. Show me alligator. Oh. Okay, now we'll do a take where I got it right. I'm gonna lock in alligator. Show me alligator. Oh, got it. Claude, the albino alligator. Hopefully one of those was good. But he passed recently, and I already know in like 5 years they're gonna make a whole big event, right? Whoever runs the city of San Francisco, I don't know. Do they have a mayor? I don't understand lower levels of government, but they're gonna come out there and be like, "We loved Claude. I never got to meet the bloke, personally, but I understand he touched an individual, especially when that little baby fell in the exhibit, right? And it had a little bit of an early lunch, right, folks? Sorry, no, that's still too soon. My bad. Okay, I'll read a room. That's cool. But I think it would depend on the human attached to the crocodile if I took the picture. Some people would go to the crocodile and be like, okay, I'm getting a read on the croc. But I would try to get a read on the person with the crocodile. Then depending on that, I'd be like, yeah, we could snap a pic. But I wouldn't post the pic. That's one of those where you would just have it. Because it's too dystopian. If you look at the background of that, you're like, that's not where that crocodile should be, in a bad way. Like a penguin in San Francisco, I'd like that. Penguin in New York, I'd like that. Because it's like he looks like a little banker, right? And you're like, that's nice. Follow your dreams, follow your career. But a crocodile in a multi-purpose room, that's not good. That's like, what is that? That's like seeing a kangaroo in a Hollywood video. It just doesn't belong there. I don't think that's where you should see that kind of thing, right? A Tasmanian devil in a middle school play. I mean, what's that about? That's not where they should be. So yeah, that's how I feel. You ever make a turn? You ever be at a four-way intersection and you're trying to take a turn, right? But whenever you take that turn, there's always the cars across from you that are also taking a turn. And I thought about it because I had to take one of those this week. I know, I'm getting adventurous, aren't I? But making a turn at a light at the same time as the people from across the street is the closest I think I'll ever feel to being a Blue Angel. You know about the Blue Angels, right? The people in the blue fighter jets. Well, I don't know if maybe they're pacifists. The Blue Jets, we'll call them. I don't know if they're the fighting type, but it's they fly at each other and they're like, vroom, like that Doppler effect type shit. And I don't think they've had any casualties because they're so specially trained. There's so much, chemistry, camaraderie within that team that, they really do a great job up there in the sky. But that's something I'll never do, right? There's certain things in life where I'm like, I'll do that. I'll get to it, right? Like I still haven't made pizza dough from scratch. I'll do it. I'll get there. I know I'm going to do it. And I'd like to do it. But flying a jet and being part of the Blue Angels, I already know. I'll never do that. But, right, being a little everyday man, I can at least experience a fraction of what they experience, which is that I get to drive a car and then go like that at the same time they do. And while I'm driving there, I know I'm going to turn, but there's always that tension, maybe sexual tension, depending on what bumper stickers they have. Maybe I'll see how playful they are in the rear view mirror. But there's always that tension of like, I hope they turn. Because we both have a big responsibility in this four-way intersection to embark on this journey and kind of turn the vehicle, do the right thing, right? Because not even for our own safety, but everyone else, the four-way intersection, this is a busy place. I saw a penguin crossing the street at one of these the other day. And if we crash, well, now we've traumatized a whole four-way intersection. We've traumatized them in more than four ways, if you could say such a thing. So really, it's our civic duty to not fuck this up. And so there's a lot riding on it, right? Our lives and such. And I realize that's the closest. There's nothing else. And I'm okay with that. Pizza dough, I'll get to it, and I would really like to. A blue angel? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You ever think about this? If you're a bad blue angel, you turn into an angel quicker than you'd like to. You get what I mean by that? And that's okay. I don't need to take that risk. So, you guys have been really good these past few weeks. I want to thank you so much. But unfortunately, every time I acknowledge getting good likes on these episodes, they do tank that same week because I think you guys are like, oh, well, we did a good job. Now we can take it the week off. No, No, we got you booked overtime, bud. I need you here every week, okay? I don't care that you have a family vacation. No, we need you here. We got stuff to do, things to make, right? So we got to get you in here. So this isn't like, hey, good job, now slack off. I need you doubling down at this point. I need more likes, you know? You understand how a business works? We can't be content at 3 billion earnings on the year. We got to go for 6 next year. Knowing damn well it took us 10 years to get to 3. Why not double it, huh? For year 11, go big or go home. And I mean that seriously. If we don't hit 6 million, some people will have to go home. We're going to have to lay some of you off, okay? So let's get that number up. But no, let's not get complacent, folks. I want to give you the compliment, give credit where credit's due. Thank you so much for liking these episodes. But also, can you keep doing it? I know. Greedy, right? Same lips. They got 13 cups of water asking for more water. The same lips telling you to like the video. Oh my God. Can they know? Can they know what gluttony is? I don't know if they will in this lifetime. But thank you so much for leaving a like on this video. You gotta leave a like on this video because it keeps me out of my head. I feel like if these videos don't get likes, I'm all the way up inside my head. And I don't want to be there. It's like I want a lobotomy, but I still want access to my brain. Like I want to be able to see my brain on the weekends, but not care about them, right? Not care about my brain. So just make sure you leave a like on the video so I don't have to care about my brain, or else I'm going to be living up there. And the rent's going to be high. Some people say rent free. No, it's going to take a toll. It's going to hurt. But what won't hurt is my song recommendation this week. Wow, I love this song. I listened to the song like 4 times before I press record on this podcast, and it is Welcome to Ecclesia by Naika. Naika? Is that how you pronounce it? But that song, it's part of a whole album called Ecclesia, I think. I think it just came out like maybe over a week ago. And according to Spotify, Naika is a French-Haitian powerhouse. And let me tell you what, I've started listening to that album and my God, but definitely my favorite song on there is Welcome to Ecclesia. So give it a listen. Of course, right after you're given this podcast a listen to. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And I will talk to you next week. Okay.